it up one more good time for your host, Mr. Barry. Don't break your fucking wrists. Folks, I'm gonna get right down to brass tacks. I came in the door this evening, the first thing I did was head to the bar and buy myself a highball. Proceeded to sit and watch you turkeys cruise through the door, and this is what I heard coming out of your mouths as you emerged into the room. My taxes are too high. My pay's too low. I don't make enough money. All of my friends have been beaten to a frazzle by the cops. The man has his boot on my neck. My name is Merrill Vandenberg. Let me just introduce myself. At the age of 16, I forged my papers and I went to war. Stomping Nazis with my feet and collecting medals with both hands. Croix de Guerre, Legion of Merit, Congressional Medal of Honor. History's only retired 6-star general at the age of 19. I was made the ambassador to Kenya, where I single-handedly put the third world on the road to modernization. And sampled some of the native wares while I was at it. At the ripe young age of 96, I achieved the pinnacle of my success, my personal career apex. The big man at the end of the table, the head of Merrill Lynch, Chief Executive Officer, CEO. I'm the scourge of Rommel at Kasserine. I'm the wise old owl of Wall Street. I'm the lion of diplomacy. I am the man! My taxes are too high. My pay's too low. If you've got something to say, let's hear it, folks. I come down out of my ivory tower tonight, down here into the belly of the beast, bearing an olive branch. I come in peace. You got a problem with the man? Speak to the source. What are your questions?
What about Denver?
What about Denver? Well, they're gonna suck balls without Elway, that's for sure. Bubby Brister's never done jack squat in the National Football League. What the hell are you talking about? Any valid questions?
What do you like in a woman?
What do I like in a woman? There's a good question. I like my woman, and by the way, young miss, if you were 55 years older, my God. I like my women like I like my cognac, 75 years or older. Nothing pleases me more than ambling down Park Avenue all about 11:30 a.m. on a Sunday morning and coming across some 70, 85-year-old, 3 times divorced, debutante Stepford wife with nothing better to do on her weekends but have tea with an old silver fox at Wall Street. Next question.
Tell me about economic European Union on the US dollar.
Tell you about economic union on the US dollar. Nothing comes for free, son. Figure it out for yourself. Tell you what, though, about those Kosovars. They're gonna get what they get. I squeezed the joint out of that thing about 20 years ago. I got 4 letters for you. T-I-T-O. The man could play ball. I tell you what, enough people can't die over there. I swear to God, there's too many goddamn mouths to feed already. Next question. What do I think of circumcision?
Yeah.
What am I, running for president? I'm for it. What do you think of it? Next question.
What does it take to be a man?
What does it take to be a man? First of all, son, you gotta have a high bank account. Second, you've gotta have a fine hair to tan quotient. The silvery shimmer of your hair versus the fine manufactured tan of your skin. That makes a man. Final question. Where is he?
What's your greatest fear?
My greatest fear, son, is I'm gonna die. And I'm gonna walk up to the pearly gates, push St. Peter out of the way, walk up to the Lord and extend my hand and say, I'm Merrill Vandenberg. And he's going to say, hello, Mr. Vandenberg, how you doing? That's my biggest fear, is that the good Lord's a fruitcake. One more.
Why is it that you're such a hard ass? I mean, don't you have any feelings?
Why am I such a hard ass? Do I have any feelings? Of course I got feelings, son. I didn't want to go here. This is a poem I wrote about my dead wife Agnes. Ode to a dead wife. Queenie of my weenie, your buns were so shiny. I was your genie. You wished for my hiney. Horizontal hijinks, love fantastic. Agnes Vandenberg, dead aboard the Titanic. Happy and fruity, we'd skip through the flowers. Rooty toot tooty, I have vast financial powers. All the world's silver and gold could never bring her back. I'd like to grab God by the collar and give him a smack. That's an ode to my dead wife, Agnes. That's all my time, folks. Just keep in mind I didn't get to be where I am by laying on my ass. If your taxes are too high and your pay's too low and my boot's on your neck, keep one thing in mind. Get used to it. There's not a goddamn thing you can do about it. Mr. Bear.
Hey, Flynn, everyone. Hey, Flynn.
Excellent. Now, I had a bit of an interesting upbringing. See, my mother's Episcopalian and my father's Jewish, which makes me a bit of a vintage white bread bagel, see, mid-60s style. And when I was a kid, they decided that they wanted to educate me in both religions, bring me up in both sides. So I ended up going to Hebrew school and Sunday school. And Hebrew school was hard for me because I'm dyslexic, and I took to reading like Christopher Reeves did to horseback riding. It was not a fun experience. And my Hebrew school teacher, who was the rabbi's wife, was, shall we say, Old Testament like Torquemada was New Testament. So when we were being taught Passover, and we were going through the plagues, see, I wasn't too convinced about this. Like the frogs were fucking me up a little bit. But when I looked at her, I said, Esther, that was her name. I said, let me get this straight. Passover. We're celebrating by taking the leg of a lamb, throwing blood on our door, and hoping to God our neighbor's eldest son dies, right? That's the gig, right? Okay. I'm back down in the rabbi's office. Now the rabbi, he was like this recovering hippie, you know, somewhere between Allen Ginsberg and Abby Hoffman with a little claw. And he was just this bitter man. Like, honestly, I think I drove him back to marijuana, all by myself. Now, my mother felt that because, and justifiably so, that I wasn't involved enough in the church. She wanted me to go to the church and be active in those activities. And she wanted me to be one of these guys who put out the candles with the robes. And my poor father, who always drove a Buick, had to drive me to church to do this. And he felt like the biggest Benedict Arnold Jew in the world. Had to take me to church to be a good Christian. So he would tell me, like, I would ask him questions because I'm in both schools, I'm all fucked up in the head. And I'm like, say, Dad, like, what's this deal with Christ? Is he really the Son of God? He goes, nah, I don't see it working out that way. I'll explain to you why. Okay, because see, if Jesus is the Son of God, then God is the original deadbeat dad. And I just don't see that. And I was like, okay. He goes, think about it, Pete. You think Joseph had a complex? He knew who his wife was with. And you know, if that's true, they mistranslated the Bible. It wasn't the three wise men. It was the three wise guys. Joseph was a union man. He knew those guys. Frankincense, myrrh, gold for the kid, frankincense for the old lady, and you don't know myrrh. He was slow with it. So anyway, my father, in that sense, really was the guy who clued me into religion. Because, like, for instance, he goes, the apostles, 12 guys, they're fishermen. What do you think they did when they weren't fishing? They're in boats. They're smuggling. They're the smugglers. They're the underground. Paulie, Petey, Mike, all these guys. So when you think about it, he was right, because when you think about Jerusalem back in the day, it was like Paris in the 40s. It was an occupied country. And I have this image of Jesus. Now, everybody knows that Jesus has a brother, right? James, thank you. Jimmy. Now, I have this image of Jesus, who was a pretty worldly guy. And here he is. He's like, he speaks Greek, he speaks Arabic, he speaks Hebrew, but he drank with the Greeks. And he's a big ouzo drinker, right? And he's like, I want another drink. And Jimmy's like, would you just knock it off? Leave these people alone. I'm the son of God. Would you stop it with that? And I just have this image of, like, poor Jimmy the whole time. And I think, when you think about it, if he was the son of God, then God made a deal with Peter. The deal he made with Peter was, he goes, all right, you can be the bouncer of heaven. No sneakers, no hats. It's all you. The velvet rope is all yours, Pete. And that was a good gig when you think about it, because he's sitting there going, like, let the babes in, just let the babes in. Pete was a pretty hip guy. So when I ended up having to do this gig, I ended up at the church one day. My dad dropped me off. And I'm there with 11 other guys, the apostles, to get robes and put out candles. These guys thought this was a good gig, and I knew it was a shitty chore. I was not up for this stuff at all. So I'm standing next to this kid named Lee Strohan. And I lean over and I say, because I'm looking for a little mutiny, Lee, you know that Jesus is gay? No, I'm serious. Jesus is gay. No. Good ask. He doesn't ask the guy next to him. He goes like this, Reverend Kingsbury! Yes, Lee, can I help you? What's this shit about Jesus being a bad? Bad one. Everywhere. Everybody moves over. Right? So I'm like, great, thank you. And the Reverend goes, oh, you don't do that? Gerber, the Jew. I'm like, oh, gee, thanks, Lee. You're my man. So everybody goes except me. I'm in the back room with the minister. And I know, I'm rather confident, that I'm not going to be able to sell the concept of Jesus' homosexuality to Reverend Kingsbury. That's just not going to fly. So, me and my father's son, I was like, so Reverend, I'm just a little confused here. My father's a lawyer, and I'm stuck with the law here. I'm like, so what happened? Like, it was Passover, he's hanging out with Elijah, he's a little drunk, Mrs. God won't let him in, he's floating around Jerusalem. He knocked her up. I don't care if it was immaculate, he knocked her up. So what does he do? She still won't let him in. He goes over to Moses' house, he's like, Mo, let me in. Mo, let me in. It's bad. Mo lets me in. He goes, what'd you do? Oh, I was down Passover. Were you hanging out with Eli? Oh, what'd you do? Those girls? Oh, gee, you knocked up a girl. Ah, what do I do, Mo? What do I do? Let me think. All right, this is what you do. You write another book and you kill the kid. You write another book, kill the kid, they'll buy it. I guarantee you, we'll bring him back. Well, they believe it. They're goyish. They got no choice. So that was basically what I said to the minister. So the minister was a very, nice guy. Looked at me, he goes, is that what you think? And I go, basically, so what I'm saying is, the New Testament is based off of the contradiction of the Sixth Commandment. Thou shalt not commit adultery. So the minister looks at me. Very composed man, very educated, very reserved. And he walked over to me and he's like, Mr. Gerber, nailed me right off my chair. And I was like, blown away, I couldn't believe it. That was the true hand of God. And now I'm thinking to myself, what is the meanest, most vicious thing I could do to this guy right now? And I stood up, I'm like, and I walked out. So now there's 11 guys waiting for me. They're all like, oh my God. I'm like, look at this. See? That's God. There you go. And I was so proud of myself. And then all of a sudden this kid, Keith Costigan, he's up at the top of the hill. He used to be Armenian. He's up at the top of the hill. He goes, the Buick's coming. I'm not dummy. He comes around, I'm like, no! I'm being abused by religion! Look at me! My father drove under the grass up the steps of St. Mark's Church and inevitably did 4 hours in the Lower Gwinnett Police Department for me. For me. And that's for my father that I said. Now the next one, if you guys would just please indulge me for a moment, because this is the first time. My mom is in the back. She came to see me. And